are on our way, heading over to Leeds to see Tom. Tom does an amazing job with his properties, and we're going to go and talk about one of his properties that he's just finished and it's just ready. Hi Tom, good to see you. Thank you. Tom, this is an amazing looking kitchen. It's absolutely stunning. In fact, this is nicer than the one we have in our house, and if my wife sees this, I am definitely going to be in trouble. She's been talking about changing, and we're building our house as well soon, so I'm looking for some great ideas, which I'm sure I'm going to find here. So first of all, thank you so much for the invite into your house.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming down, Saj.
You're welcome. Coming up, we've travelled up, up to Leeds, and so tell us a little bit about the house that you have here.
So it started its life out as a substantial through 4-bed terrace property, and I've completely stripped it back to brick and converted it into a 5-bed all-en-suite HMO.
Okay, so really it was just taking it all back to the original shell and recreating it for what you've done here. Now we've had a little sneak peek at some of the spaces here, and it does look absolutely stunning. So I'm looking forward to sharing that in a moment. So who's going to live in here? Who have you created this for?
So I've created it for a mixture of white and blue collar workers. Ideally we'd just stick to one particular tenant profile per house. I'll give you an idea of the people that have signed up to take bedrooms so far. So I've got a lady from the Environment Agency, I've got a couple of gentlemen from a Chinese technology company, and I've also got a tutor that's travelling up from London to live here for the year. Okay,
so when you talk about white collar and blue collar, we're talking about white collar generally somebody that probably works at a desk, and blue collar somebody that might be manual work, but it's probably semi-skilled.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so far I think they're all falling into the white collar bracket, and I think with the profile and reading through the application forms, which is invaluable, I'm sure you'll be aware, you can get an idea from the application forms and from speaking to the people if they'll get along well, and I think they'll all get along just fine.
And attracting those type of people in the first place, is this an area which is kind of full of those kind of people? Do they normally live around here, or?
So around here I'd say there's a mixture of white collar and blue collar and homeowners and tenants. So there's a nice mixture around here, so I'm sure the people that are living here will fit in just fine. Yes.
And so what gave you the idea to create something like this stunning? As I said, it's like you walked into like a kitchen showroom right now. It just looks amazing.
Well, thanks for that, Saj. So a couple of things. I'm looking for a good return on my investment, but I also don't want to create a dump for people to live in. I want to create a really nice space for people to live in, and ultimately, for something like this, I am my own target market. People my sort of age, so I've got a good idea of what people are looking for at the top end of the market, I think. Yeah. So that's what
so it's creating nice accommodation for people like yourself that will want something like this, essentially. It's the kind of thing you'd want for yourself and think, okay, who else it could appeal to?
That's it.
Okay. And what is it you did pay for this?
I paid 88,000 for it.
88,000. Okay. We'll probably get a nice garage for that in some places down south.
I think in London you'd be lucky, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So is that kind of typical values around here? Did you get an amazing deal, or?
I think the market has probably adjusted a little bit since I purchased it, and given the condition of it, it was probably a fair price at the time. Yeah. Now I don't think you'd be able to pick up a property in that condition for that price around here.
Okay. And so you paid 88 for it, and your total rent for the year will typically be about?
Just a smidge over 35,000.
That's not bad for an £88,000 investment. So we'll break down the numbers in more detail towards the end of the video. So make sure you watch all the way to the end, because we'll break those numbers down. Shall we have a look at some other parts of the house and see what a great job you've done for the rest of the house?
Absolutely, let's go, Saj.
Cool, let's do that. Tom, we're in the communal space, a living room right now, and you've done a nice job in here as well. Sometimes I speak to landlords and they talk about maximising their rent and they turn this into a bedroom. So what was your thinking about not turning this into a bedroom and creating some communal space here?
Well, I can understand why landlords would want to maximise the footprint of the house, but at the same time, there's benefits to not overdeveloping a property as well.
Yes.
So this is a nice space for the tenants to come and relax after a hard day's work, eat some dinner together, enjoy a film on telly. We provide Netflix on the telly. It doesn't cost a fortune to do that either. So yeah, ultimately I think there's benefits to not overdeveloping a property, Saj.
Yeah, and so what we mean by overdeveloping it is not trying to squeeze every ounce of rent out of it, but also creating some nice space for that person as well. So yes, you could have turned this into a bedroom, you would have got a little bit more rent, but actually overall you'd probably got lower rent per room, because it would mean that people who want communal space, it's not going to appeal to them. And if you create a nice environment, people will stay longer, you'll attract better tenants, they'll be happier as well overall.
That's right. We've achieved a premium rent for it as well, and I think if you've got too many people in the house, you may lead to lower occupancy rates as well, because people don't want to live with a big house full of people.
Definitely, I agree with that. We manage properties well in our agency in Birmingham, and a couple of times we've taken on larger houses to manage up to 14 bedrooms in one case, and we can see that can be a complete disaster because it doesn't feel like a home anymore, whereas this really feels nice and homely. But when you've got that many people living together in one house, it really doesn't feel like a home. It does feel like a hostel. There's just so many people in the house, they don't get to know each other. So what you're trying to create is a community, a social space, a social environment where people are eating together, they're going out together, they're spending time together.
That's right. And I think ultimately if you've got 14 people living together, if I was living with 13 other people, I might question who I'm actually living with. You know, I might see somebody and not recognise them.
Yes.
Because there's that many people in the house. So in a house like this, it's a good communal environment and everybody knows everybody. Yes. Everybody's comfortable with each other, and that allows us to charge what we charge for it as well.
Yes, you made a really key point about if I was living in there, and that's many people don't look at it from that perspective. As a landlord, they often look at it from a spreadsheet. What's the spreadsheet say? How can I squeeze more money out of this? When you think about it, actually, if you're going to be living in that space, if you were to live in it, what would you expect? What would you want? How can you create it as a great space? And I think by taking that viewpoint that you have, that's how you've created such a stunning house.
That's it. I've put a few nice quirks in here that are customer-led as well. So just like you say, think about the customer first and then the profit will follow. I think that's probably the best way to deal with a property like this.
Absolutely. Well, look, let's go and have a look at one of the bedrooms, and maybe we can drill down into some of the numbers then.
Sure, let's go.
Let's do that. So we're in one of the 5 bedrooms right now, nice spacious room, plenty of light in here, and I can see why these rooms are really attractive, and they're all very similar in terms of layout and design.
Very similar in terms of design, they're slightly different in the layouts just because properties like this are not built equal. They weren't built equal 100 years ago, but they've all got a nice double bed, they've all got bedside tables, they've all got a 43-inch 4K television, they've all got a nice ensuite, they've all got a built-in wardrobe, so they're all very, very similar, just slightly different within the quirks.
And all really well designed as well, because right now we're in one of the attic rooms effectively, but you've really thought about the space and the layout to make the most of what's already here, to get the best layout and functionality for this room. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, to achieve this, it's taken a lot of tinkering around with the floor plans. And ultimately, you don't really know what you're going to end up with until it's built out.
Yeah.
So you've just got to try and visualise it as best as you can on the floor plans. But overall, I'm very happy with what we've achieved.
And so you've started marketing this about, you were saying about a week ago?
Yep, started marketing it last Monday, and we were fully reserved by Friday.
Excellent.
So blown away with the amount of interest at the price we put it up for.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you were saying price-wise, where do you think you are in terms of the market, where market rents are compared to what you're asking for here?
We've pushed above the market rents, which is something I'd really like to do. I find it very, very satisfying to do. Not in terms of just bringing more money in, but knowing that my product is the best.
Yes.
And that it's attracting the best.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when you think about it like that. Sometimes people are fearful of what they want to push that rent to. And hey, look, if you push the rent so far, you're just not going to get any interest. But it goes to show within a week, you pretty much all of it's taken, shows that there is an appetite and a demand, even right at the top end for this type of accommodation.
That's it. I think we've achieved that by putting nice televisions in there, having nice en-suites in there, and it goes to show that people are prepared to pay for good quality stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the numbers and break those down, how did we first meet?
So I contacted you after viewing a couple of your videos on your YouTube channel. You showed me some of your similar properties to this, and I was blown away by what you were doing. Really, really liked it, and it inspired me to go on and do something similar.
Well, you've done an amazing job. You've done an amazing job here. So we've been working together for probably more than 2 years now, I think.
I think just a little bit over 2 years.
Yeah, excellent. And have you found that experience in terms of supporting you and mentoring through the last couple of years?
Well, Saj, you're an invaluable resource. You're quite a bit further down the path than I am, but it's very, very handy to be able to tap into your knowledge, tap into your experience, and as well, the other people within the group, they've all got a lot of life and property experience that's great to tap into.
I appreciate that, and as you just said, it's not about me necessarily just supporting, it's the group collectively. Not everybody's doing HMOs, for example, but the knowledge that's in that group is it's hugely beneficial.
Definitely.
And so you're looking to do more of these type of properties?
Yep, I've got another one going through legals at the minute. That's going to be a 6-bed all-en-suite HMO, very similar to this one, probably about 10 minutes up the road, so it's going to be almost a carbon copy of this one. Obviously, I've got a few key learnings which I'll take on to the next ones, a few things which I'll do differently, a few things which I'll do better.
Yeah.
Hopefully achieve a better rent as well, fingers crossed. So yeah, I've got another one that's going through at the minute.
I'm sure you'll do a great job with that because you're already at the top end in terms of rent you can achieve for something like this. So let's talk about the numbers then. So you paid 83,000 for it.
88.
88,000. Sorry, I just robbed you of £5,000 there.
You did. You did. I wish I paid 83 for it, Saj.
And how much did you spend on it to get it to what it is today?
Well, we spent more than the cost of the house on it. We spent 130 on it to get it to how it is today.
Yeah.
But that included taking it back to brick everywhere. The only things that remained of the original property are the bricks and the floor joists.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, and I'm not surprised by a spend of that amount on a house like this because you said, you've seen what we do, very similar. You just create the best possible product you can. But some people are shocked by that in terms of how much you spend on something like this. But the numbers speak for themselves. So as you said, the rent is just over 35 grand a year.
That's right.
On this that you'll generate. Tom, how much profit on equity have you created in this project?
There's just a little bit over £60,000, Saj. I'm hoping to get an end valuation of about 280.
Fantastic. That's very good. And you'll refinance, I'm assuming in the near future.
Yep. Refinance applications going through now. I'm just waiting for the valuer to book an appointment to come and view it.
Okay, so pretty much imminent. And so from start, in terms of when you first got on site to this point, how long has that taken you?
It did take a little bit longer than we hoped. There's a few unexpected issues along the way. Yorkshire Water were a little bit slow to deal with. Some of the trades were a little bit slow to deal with, problems with materials, but hey, this is property. You have these issues, don't you?
Absolutely, and I think that's not a surprise either. On a project of this size, you're always going to hit little challenges along the way, and that's what it's about. It's about how do you deal with those challenges, how do you resolve them, and how do you keep pushing forward.
That's right.
So once you've refinanced this particular property, I'm guessing you probably won't get all the money out.
No, I won't quite get all the money out, but the money that's going to be left in here is going to be very high return on investment, and I should have it back in my account within the next year.
Excellent. So within a year, you've pretty much got all your cash back out.
That's right, yeah.
So doing more of these. And how are you funding these, or how are you funding the next projects?
So up until now, I've been using my own funds. I'm in the process of speaking to a couple of other people which we may be working together on. But ultimately for me, I'm looking to scale up and do a few more of these simultaneously.
Yeah, so now it's a case of you've got this model working well, it's a case of now you want to grow it, replicate it, working with other people as we talk about. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you run out, especially if you want to build a business by working with other people as well.
That's it.
So how can people reach out to you if they're interested in working with you, investing with you in projects? What's the best way to contact you?
I'm on a few different social media channels, but I'd say the best way of contacting me would be on my Instagram.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll link up your Instagram as well in the description below.
That'd be brilliant. Thanks, Saj.
Excellent. What's one key learning you can share from this project that you've done here?
Well, I think the biggest key learning is one that I already knew, to be honest with you, Saj. You can't just take a rundown property like this, pass it over to a main contractor, come back in 4 months and have what you want. You need to be very specific with the details. You need to be a constant presence to make sure that everything is going on track in the way you want it to be. And not everything goes the way you want it to be on a property like this or on a project like this. If you notice that something isn't quite right, you need to get onto the issue straight away, get it dealt with, and put it back on course. I think that's probably what I'd answer that question with, Saj.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. When you've got something this particularly in terms of how it's laid out and how it's presented, how it's finished, you can't just assume you're just going to hand it to somebody, give them the keys, come back 3 months later, pick up the keys, and hey, presto, it's good to go. You know, that completely makes sense. You've got to stay on top of it.
Definitely. I think you're very much rolling the dice. If you've got a great contractor, you've put a great specification and schedule of works together, you might end up with what you've put together.
Yeah.
But you might not, so you just need to keep on top of them.
Excellent. Fantastic. Tom, well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure coming to see your house. Thank you so much for the invite.
You're welcome anytime, Saj.
Thanks, Tom. Tom. Start again.
I'd say there's a mixture of white and blue collar workers around here and homos.
I can't remember what my question was. I forgot what we were saying next, so let's just stop there for a second. Is that alright?
Yeah.